Welcome back to AI Weekly News by Cyber Intel Systems. I'm glad you're with us. I'm your host, Leo Smith. Today's story is about IFPI sets iMusic rules for official chart eligibility. IFPI's announcement followed a proposal from Sony Music, Universal Music Group, Warner Music Group, Believe, BMG, and independent labels. Billboard summarized 4 ideas: authorized AI, rights, compliance, disclosure, and primarily human creation without manipulation. IFPI's final notes list 6 tests. The generative AI service must be properly authorized and lawful. The recording must be substantially human-made, and it must not raise manipulation. The recording must also comply with copyright, related rights, and personality right. Law follow the AI service's terms and signal AI used downstream under those tests separate assistance from substitution. Authorized IA editing or production can qualify when human creativity remains a fully synthetic track. Unauthorized service or fraudulently supported release could fail. IFPI says it has applied the principles to charts it directly manages across Latin America, the Middle East, Africa, and Southeast Asia. It is also working with national groups to expand the program across more than 20 additional chart programs. Expansion work is not the same as completed adoption by every chart in that network. The framework is also separate from a recent voluntary labeling proposal. That effort distinguishes an AI-generated label for recordings treated entirely with generative systems from an AI-assisted label for recordings that use AI in only part of the process. Eligibility decides whether a track may enter a chart, while labeling tells listeners how the recording was made. Operational questions remain. IFPI does not publish a numeric threshold for substantially human-made, a standard proof package, or one enforcement procedure. Rights law also differs by country. For artists and labels, METART will become more important. A distributor may need reliable declarations about which model was used, what rights covered that use, who performed or wrote each element, and how AI involvement should be labeled. Incomplete records could become a chart eligibility problem, even when the music itself sounds conventional. Let's pause here for a short break. We'll be right back after this bumper. Welcome back. If you find this useful, follow and subscribe to AI Weekly News. Now, let's continue the news. AI music providers also face a market signal. Services that can document licensed training, authorized inputs, terms, compliance, and provenance may be easier for professional creators to use. Prot tours that cannot support those records risk placing customers in a difficult position when a chart compiler asks for evidence. Streaming platforms sit in the middle because charts often depend on their consumption data and Madjock. They may need consistent fields for AI-assisted and AI-generated content, stronger manipulation detection, and a way to send corrections downstream. None of that proves that every platform will adopt IFPI's approach or implement it in the same way. Global principles do not mean global law. IFPI is an industry body and the rules govern programs that apply them. Billboard had not adopted the proposal when it reported on the 29th of July. The substantial human contribution test is likely to be the hardest part. A binary label cannot fully describe a regov in which one tool generated a texture, another cleaned a vocal, and a human wrote, performed, arranged, and mixed the final track. Chart compilers will need consistent examples and an appeal process if they want the standard to be predictable. Manipulation is another distinct issue. Fraudulent streaming can distort a chart, whether a song is made by humans, AI, or both. Keeping manipulation in the framework is sensible, but enforcement should avoid treating the mere presence of AI as proof of fraud. IFPI has moved the AI music debate from abstract principles into operational chart rules. The framework protects a place for authorized assistance while saying that human creativity, lawful tools, disclosure, and authentic demand remain conditions for recognition. Its real impact will depend on how consistently those ideas are defined and enforced. Watch which national charts formally adopt the rules, whether major U.S. charts follow, and what evidence artists must provide. It is the practical work of deciding borderline cases without confusing creative assistance, synthetic substitution, and manipulated popularity. Thank you for listening to AI Weekly News by Cyber Intel Systems. Subscribe and join us next week for the latest AI stories.